As a revert, I've had a lot more warmth and care and patience shown than even in Bible studies. I used to ask certain questions. First of all, there was no... And also, just quickly on that, if people read up on the Prophet and see the way he managed his family affairs, yes, he was a firm leader. Yes, he had very clear standards of how he would be treated, but he was also extremely empathetic.
Very.
He was very much a caring husband, father, community leader. There's a lot of empathy in Islam that I think the West hasn't really been, or hasn't accepted, or isn't aware of. The West views Islam as very strict and very unforgiving. As a revert, I've had a lot more warmth and care and patience shown than even in Bible studies. I used to ask certain questions. First of all, there was no answers, such as, okay, why is there a focus on Jesus, not on God? Well, by Jesus, first of all, if God was all-powerful, why did he let Jesus die on the cross?
Exactly.
And thirdly, I used to say, but how does Jesus dying tie into my sins? I could never understand that. And there was never real clear explanations.
I would get kicked out of church regularly.
I got shamed, and I got basically told off for asking those questions with every single person I've interacted with, both in terms of scholars or just practicing Muslims. Anytime I've asked a question, it's nothing but empathy and patience and care. I'd say Islam is extremely understanding and caring and empathetic, much more than the West realizes.
I agree, and I think this is the problem. A lot of people don't actually talk to Muslims. A lot of people take Islam from watching, some kind of news media, or instead of actually, like you live in a predominantly Muslim country here, right? How safe do you feel, even with an expensive watch and a nice car, at 2 a.m. in Dubai?
Alhamdulillah, it's amazing. Really, it is. This is the optimal societal model for raising a family, according to me.
If you're not Muslim, Google the safest cities in the world, lowest crime rate, all Muslim places. Also Google highest rape rates, crime rates, murder rates, all non-Muslim cities. Think about what that means. I mean, me as a father, I don't want my child to be out when it's dark and worry about whether some gang shooting is going to take them, or somebody's going to, kidnap them and molest them, and all the things that we see in the Western societies, rape and so on. When I'm in some of these countries, like where we are today, in Emirates or in Qatar or in Kuwait, in all these countries, I have no fear of any of those things. My wife could be sitting alone in a car somewhere. I'm not worried about it. My children could be out. I could tell them, hey, at midnight, hey, go get some milk from the store, and I'm not worried about it. But when I'm in LA,
forget it. Yeah. But also the softer risks. When my son was in Sweden, at the age of 10, in a class of 20 children, there were 3 transsexuals. If he used the wrong pronoun, he would get a written warning. I realized once he moved to me, even though he knew and he told me about it, there are books where we read about bi, trans, homosexual, all these things. He didn't understand how babies were made yet. I had to give him the birds and the bees talk. So in Sweden, per the curriculum, you learn about transsexual, gay, and children decide they're transsexual before they're taught the basic biology about how babies are made. Like that's something I don't have to worry about here, which I can mitigate security risk. I'm a former security professional.
You are.
But how do you stop that stuff getting pushed into your children in school if it's part of the norm?
And again, now in America, there's been cases which you can look up on the news where teachers made students dress up like the opposite gender, and not even like a choice, made them to know how it feels. I don't want somebody telling my son, you got to wear a pink dress and lipstick. This is...
Don't move to Sweden, brother.
I'm not moving to Sweden. Sorry. Love for all the Muslim brothers and sisters out there in Sweden, but I'm not moving to Sweden, man.
Wow.
If you look at Europe, if you look at even America, in Canada and others, this agenda is now being pushed. There is a book, and I did a short on this before, which was being taught to an 11-year-old in Kentucky, which is a rather conservative part of America, which was talking about homosexual acts of sexual, which even if it was about heterosexuality, I would not want being taught.
It's the thing. Leave sexual stuff out of the kids' brains when they're kids.
Parent. Let me deal with it. That is my responsibility to teach my children when they're ready. I don't want their 6th grade, 5th grade, 4th grade teacher teaching them. And words in that book, I was shocked. And this is why if you're not Muslim, Islam is the only solution. This is the only thing that's going to save your children and future generations in society.
Well said.
And if we as people of faith don't stand, and again, right now with the Pope and most Methodist church, the taking on the LGBT agenda as their agenda, putting big. I was in New York recently, and one of the oldest and established churches had a huge rainbow flag with the, and I was thinking like those children being sent to Bible studies, they are going to be learning this in church.
Oh, bro.
Right?
Sorry,
Can you
that actually physically hurts my head.
It hurts.
Leave the children alone.
Leave the children alone.
Oh, yeah, it's I'd take it a step further. I think the trend is clear, the precedent is clear. If you care about your family, why are you living in the West if you're not homeschooling? I think more and more people are moving to Dubai. Yes, it's quality of life, but it's also my kids' brains don't get assaulted with weird sexual agendas in school. Plus, they're safe. They can walk around without issues.
Well, I mean, now it's, and Europe, I'm not going to call out the countries particularly, but more than even the US, if your child gets brainwashed and you just try to explain to them right from wrong, they will arrest you and take your child away from you.
Yeah, I've seen that happening.